Hello, welcome to Book Talk. This is your host, Anthony Moirore. At Book Talk, we get to have an author come and tell us about his book or her book. And today we have a guest who's been here before and he's come back. But before we bring him on, I would like to ask you to share this with all your friends. If you're watching us live, thank you very much for being here with us. If you're watching the recorded version of this episode, also remember to share with your friends. And you can find our book talk at Bookplace on all the major platforms, major podcast platforms, mention of Audible, Google iTunes, Google Podcast, iTunes, whatever you like listening to our podcast on. And now I'm just going to bring on our guest today. Our guest was here sometimes back and we talked about his book series, but I won't talk of him in his absence. So I'm introducing to you Mark M. Bello. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Anthony. It's nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you back. We are honored.
I'm honored to be back.
Yes, and for those of you who may be new to
I'm not welcome everywhere, you know.
No, on our program, you're welcome, and you're welcome the second time.
All right.
So, and feel at home. And for the sake of those people who may not have been here when you were here before, we would like to introduce them to you. Now, Mark has practiced law for 44 years. No, those are not few years, 44 years. And
a long time.
Yeah, that's a long time. And the experience that he's had there is a great experience. And then he retired, and he is a social justice advocate. And that's what he practiced when he was there. But then now he's doing it in another way. So he wrote a series of books that is advocating for social justice, which we call the Zachary Blake series. And that's what we covered in the first episode that we were with Mark here some weeks ago. I think it's some months ago, not even weeks.
A few months, yes.
Yeah, a few months ago. But today, Mark is bringing us with another idea. But anyway, I haven't introduced you enough for the person who is hearing you for the first time. Please tell us a bit more of yourself, Mark.
Well, as you indicated, I practiced law for a long time, and I got a little antsy in retirement. And one of the, bucket list items that I promised myself I would do one day is write a book about an experience, a case I had back in the 1980s. And my first book was based on that case. I thought after that happened, as I probably indicated when we last got together, I never thought of myself as an author. I just wanted to write this one book. And then the 2016 election happened, and I began to wonder whether someone who was advocating for a Muslim ban or deporting all Hispanics from the country, I began to wonder what a presidency like that would look like. And I wrote a book about a fictional president who did those things. And as a result of that book, I got attacked on social media for doing a hit job on our last president. And my response was always, if you see a similarity between the guy I wrote about and your guy, then that's on him, not on me. I wrote my book before he became president. And once I wrote that second book, I said to myself, okay, you can do this. And as I started to see different issues in the news, I said, that would make an interesting book, or that would make an interesting book, or I like this topic. And I started to write ripped from the headlines novels about topics in the news. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the Zachary Blake series is about.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened recently is I kind of get the impression
Yeah.
that today's children are not getting social justice messages
Mm-hmm.
early enough in life for them to have an impact on them as young, as older children, as teenagers, as young adults.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about the idea of writing social justice picture books
Mm-hmm.
for kids.
Mm.
And Happy Jack, Sad Jack, the book you want to talk about today, is my first children's picture book related to social justice issues.
Mm. Beautiful. And it's good that you came to that conclusion or that idea of introducing social justice to young minds, because someone told me that you can only shape a tree once it's young. So for those of us who are looking at the society and wants to change some of the things happening there, the social evils that are happening all around us, can be a hard job trying to change some ideas that have been implanted in us, in our minds. So when you come up with the idea of influencing young minds to think positively and think about social justice, that's a beautiful idea. And we welcome your idea with this book that you've brought, uh, Happy Jack, Sad Jack. Now, let's hear a
That's the
bit
name of
more.
the first book.
That's the name of the first book. So it's going to be a series.
Um, Social justice and safety.
Okay, social justice and
The
safety.
second book, which I already wrote, but I don't
Mhm.
have it illustrated yet,
Okay,
is about the dangers of distracted driving.
okay.
A child is in the car. His mother picks up the phone, starts texting while she's driving.
Mm-hmm.
Bad things are going to happen when
Yeah.
your mother starts paying more attention to her phone than she does to her driving.
Mm-hmm. Of
Or your
course.
dad. Or your dad. I'm not
Oh,
picking
yeah.
on mom.
Whoever. But why do you focus on the mothers?
So I wrote a book about distracted driving.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a book about my own life experience and my own grandchild's life experience
Mm-hmm.
about being the smallest kid in the class
Okay.
and being teased for being little.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that. I think we can be I think we can teach safety lessons
Okay.
to young children, and
Yeah.
I think we can teach young children how to be better human beings and better adults and do better as adults. And
Mm.
that's the aim of my new children's series.
And we agree with that. Now, Happy Jack, Sad Jack is the one that is already published. When was it published?
Um, what's the book about? Is that the question?
Yeah, no, when was it published? When was Happy Jack, Sad Jack published?
Oh, it's going to be published in around Easter time.
Oh, okay. I thought it's already
Uh,
published.
it has not yet been published.
Okay.
It should have been. We're having some problems with the Amazon platform
Mm-hmm.
and getting the manuscript and the illustrations properly formatted for the Amazon platform. But
Okay.
I think we'll have that resolved in a couple of weeks.
Okay. That's good. So, tell us a bit more about it, about Happy Jack. Sad. Why did you choose the title? Happy Jack, Sad Jack.
Well, Jack is a kindergartner when
Mm-hmm.
we meet him. He has always been a happy little boy,
Mm-hmm.
hence the term Happy Jack. He's very excited to go to kindergarten for the first time,
Okay.
and his family and his neighbors get out to the front yard, and he gets on the school bus for the first time, and he's a very, very happy little boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to kindergarten for the first time. He's now old enough to go to school, and he's very happy.
Okay.
You will see from the illustrations which you can't see on the screen right now, but trust me,
Mm-hmm.
that Jack's daddy is African American
Okay.
and Jack's mommy is white.
Mm.
So Jack is a biracial little boy.
Mm-hmm.
And that has never, ever been an issue before he went to school.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to school for the first time and
Mm-hmm.
finds out for the very first time
Yeah.
that he's different than most of the kids he goes to school with.
Okay.
And one particular kid decides to bully him for being different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he becomes Sad Jack.
Okay.
I would be happy if you want to hear it. It's a short book, and I'd be happy to read it to you if you'd like me to.
That would be wonderful. We'll be glad to hear it.
I wonder if I can share my screen. You can see these beautiful illustrations done by Melinda Faugust, who's a
Um,
terrific illustrator.
you can.
But the last time I tried to do that, Anthony, you and I got disconnected a little bit. So
Yeah, that
I'm a
was a
little
chat.
reluctant to do it. But if you want me to try, I will.
You can just read to us.
Or we can do it after. I'll read the book and then we can do it afterward.
Yeah,
You want
sure.
to do that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hang on 1 second. Let me pull up the book here.
Okay.
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Jack. His mommy was white. His daddy was black. He loved his father and sure loved his mother. He loved little Dylan, his dear baby brother. Jack was quite happy, his smile so bright. He loved running and jumping or flying a kite. It was September, time for Jack to start school. He turned 5 in June, and that was the rule. Time to start kindergarten, he called with a smile. Mommy was sad. He'd be gone for a while. When the bus came to pick Happy Jack up, he smiled, kissed his family, and Banjo, his pup. The bus drove to school, picked up more girls and boys. They all laughed and screamed. There was way too much noise. They pulled up to the school. Kids got off the bus. The teachers all gathered, making a fuss. They all went inside. Mrs. Reed started class. They had lots of fun. The day went by fast. It was soon time for recess. They all went outside. There were playgrounds and gym sets and skateboards to ride. Jack was so happy he shouted with glee. But then a boy pushed him. Jack fell on his knee. As Jack rose to his feet, he cried out in pain. The boy ran right over and pushed him again. Jack began crying. His knee felt so bad. For the very first time, Happy Jack became sad. Jack returned to his class with a very sad face. He went to the back and stared into space. Mrs. Reed noticed Jack. It didn't take long. She walked over to him and asked, Jack, what is wrong? I hurt my knee during recess, Jack frowned and he cried. He was taught not to tattle. That's why he lied. As more days went by, the mean boy teased Jack. Jack grew sadder and sadder. He refused to go back. Mommy and Daddy became quite concerned. If Jack stayed at home, how would he learn? They talked and decided what to do. Then made an appointment with Principal Lou. Mom and Dad went to school to find out what was wrong. Jack wasn't happy they brought him along. Lou counseled Jack, son, you'll not be in trouble if you tell me what happened right now on the double. I won't tattle, Jack moaned, but this isn't my fault. When bad things don't stop, you must tell an adult. The principal looked at Jack right in the eye. Jack paused with eyes wet. He confessed with a sigh. A boy pushed me down just because I am black. I was happy before. Now I'm sad, cried brave Jack. I'll talk to this boy, pledged Principal Lou. The boy is a bully. He's picking on you. I'll call a meeting. We'll straighten this out. I'll bring in his parents. There should be no doubt. The school will act, put that boy in his place. We must all get along, each religion and race. The mean boy and his parents met with Principal Lou. Jack and his parents were in the room too. Your behavior was awful, Lou scolded the lad. What you did to small Jack makes us all very sad. What did he do? The boy's dad demanded. Tell him, Lou urged. We have caught you red-handed. I did what you taught, Dad. I pushed little Jack. He shouldn't be here. We're white and he's black. I'm ashamed, the dad answered. I apologize. It's not taught at home. My boy's telling lies. Tell Jack you're sorry. These actions have ended. He'll have to go home. As of now, he's suspended. I won't say I'm sorry to someone like Jack. Then I'm sorry, son. You may never come back. When the meeting was over, they left in a huff. Jack's parents were grateful that Lou hung so tough. Principal Lou gathered all at the school to tell every student the new golden rule. To bully is wrong. That behavior has ended. There are all kinds of families, white, black, and blended. People are different in color, shape, size, ears, nose, mouths, and different shaped eyes. Different races and genders, more too, Christian or Buddhist or Muslim or Jew. But there's one thing in common we all have in this place. We are all valued members of this human race. So, everyone, that's what happened back then. I'm glad to report Jack is happy again. I must tell you, though, and please don't forget, happiness for everyone has not happened yet. There are lessons to learn from Jack's story and rhyme, and happily ever after may still happen sometime. The ending's on us. We all must stay strong and know in our hearts that bullying is wrong.
Oh,
Ta-da!
that's beautiful. That's beautiful. It's a message driven home in a very simple way.
Let me see if I can get you some of these beautiful photographs, illustrations, rather.
And it's unfortunate that we even can't see the illustrations.
Let me see if I can share the screen here.
But I guess that's why we should buy the book.
Yes, you should.
So
For your children.
And yeah, for our children. So once it's available on Amazon, we can order the book so that
it will be in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so that the children can see the images and read the story, and get to go with the lessons that are taught there. It's beautiful lessons, and I like the fact that, and that's something that we've mentioned before, that we are responsible for the young generation and the way that they shape their mind through the actions that we do, because they read us. They read what we do more than what we say. So
here, I'm going to try to share the screen.
Okay.
So you can see these beautiful illustrations.
Okay.
You see me now, right? Okay, hang on. There. Good. Can you see?
I don't see it on my side. I don't see it yet.
Wait. See?
Let me see if I can. But I don't think. No, we don't. Unfortunately.
I've got a. Let me. Maybe I can move me. How about now?
Still, we don't.
No.
We don't. But anyway, Wusha, do you have some of the illustrations on your website?
No, not yet.
Okay, so but we'll be patient enough. We'll be patient.
Surprise you!
We'll be patient enough.
I don't understand why I can't share this stuff. Oh, here, let's try that. No, that didn't work. Share in players for share window. How's that?
Still I can't see.
Here, there we go. Now you got it.
Now I do. Now okay. Now we see it.
All right. This is
Jack. That's another lesson for us today. what we call persistence. Persistence. The more I try to convince you to share it on another day, the more you insist. And that's something that we should share with our children, being persistent until we win, until we succeed. So here we have the images. Yeah, please.
This is little Jack's flying his kite in the beginning of the book.
Okay.
And these illustrations were done by a really talented lady by the name of M.T. Faugust.
Okay, and they're beautiful.
Falgaust,
Okay.
who writes children books of her own.
Yeah.
And she did me the colossal favor of doing these illustrations, these beautiful illustrations. This is
Okay.
Jack in the beginning flying his kite.
Yeah.
And this is Jack on his first day of school, getting ready to go on the bus.
Okay.
And here he is arriving at the school. There's Mrs. Reed.
Yeah.
And they're playing in the playground.
Okay.
And then here's the bully who pushed him down and he hurt his knee.
Oh yeah, sure.
And he goes back into class and he sulks. And Mrs. Reed asked him what's wrong.
Okay.
And when he goes home, he tells mom and dad how sad he is, and but he won't tell on the bully.
Mm-hmm.
And they go to school to talk to Principal Lou.
Yeah.
And he tells him that it's not his fault. He didn't do anything wrong. He got bullied just because he's not the same color as most of his classmates.
Okay.
And they promise to resolve the issue. They bring in the bully and his parents,
Uh-huh.
as we talked about when I read the passage.
Yes.
And here's the father basically saying, "We didn't teach you that at home." When he's kind of lying, I think.
Yeah.
I think he
think
did
so.
learn it. I think he did learn it at home.
I think so too.
And then here's Principal Lou talking to the whole school about treating each other as human beings rather than as different races or religions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's my kaleidoscope of kids, and Happy Jack is right there in the middle.
Okay.
Of a diaspora of children, which is how the real world should function. We should all get along regardless of religion or ethnic differences.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And that is the message of Happy Jack, said
Oh,
Jack.
so beautiful.
But those illustrations are just. I mean, I'm so happy she said yes. It makes a wonderful difference between what might be a good book and what's a terrific book. And
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
her
Yeah,
illustrations are just outstanding.
yeah, and because the images tell 1,000 words. I mean, the words that you could put there are more pronounced once someone sees the image, and especially young minds. They stick with the lesson all through their lives. Because I can imagine when I was young and I was growing up, the images that I saw in the first books that I got to read, they are still there in my mind. I was seeing Tom and Mary. That's a book we read in lower primary. Tom and Mary. Maybe you read something different, but we read Tom and Mary and their family.
Yeah.
And the pictures are still there. The lessons that were taught about personal hygiene, about being on time, they still remain with me up to this day. So when you present about this series of books that you are writing for young minds, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
important.
I think as adults we tend to forget how wise
Mm,
our children are, and
yeah,
how ready for these messages they might otherwise be. And I don't think there's a need to sugarcoat right and wrong.
yeah,
You can do it in a child friendly way, as Happy Jack Sad Jack does.
mm,
I'm not saying they should be reading Zachary Blake legal thrillers,
Yeah.
to get their social justice messages.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that a very simple presentation of right and wrong
Mm-hmm.
in a picture book format
Mm-hmm.
is a valuable message for a child, and that's
Sure.
what I tried to do.
Sure. Sure. And that's very good. So, for those of you who may be joining us right now, we are with Mark M. Bello, and we are talking about his book, Happy Jack, Sad Jack. And we've seen the beautiful illustrations, and the book is coming out in a few weeks' time. And you can follow Jack
I would say around Easter.
around Easter. Yes, and you can follow Mark Bello on his social platforms. Or where else can they get you? Where can they follow you to be aware when it's coming out?
That's markmbello.com
Yeah.
and on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I also have a podcast of my own called Justice Counts on the Spreaker Network, and
Okay.
we discuss all kinds of justice issues related primarily to the law. But as I don't need to tell you that justice and injustice doesn't necessarily mean legal and illegal.
Yeah, sure.
Uh, the boy who bullied Happy Jack in school isn't going to jail.
Mm-hmm.
He's not necessarily guilty of a crime,
Mm-hmm.
but his behavior uh, is an example of injustice.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in a legal context.
Mm-hmm.
Having a powerful country like Russia come into your own sovereign country and invade it, um, I'm a little surprised that it isn't looked upon by the international community as quote illegal,
Mm-hmm.
but it's called something else. And the fact that Ukraine doesn't happen to be a NATO country seems to have an impact on whether or not they get the full protection of the world community.
Mm-hmm.
And it, maybe it's not legal,
Yeah.
or maybe it is, but it's certainly an injustice.
Yeah.
So I like to use my show to talk about justice and injustice in various different ways.
Okay.
Hunger, rich versus poor,
Mm-hmm.
what you can afford. Capitalism makes being wealthy legal,
Mm-hmm.
makes being poor illegal. That doesn't mean it's justice that this guy is poor and that guy is wealthy.
Yeah.
That this guy can afford to feed his family and that guy cannot.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many different examples of justice and injustice that have nothing to do with the law.
Mm. It's beautiful. And thank you for being there and sharing those messages, even through your podcast. And we are really honored to have had you in this show and hearing about your book, Happy Jack, Sad Jack, and all the other things that you continue to do, even as you continue to enlighten the world from the small minds, young minds, to the old and big.
I'm doing my little share of trying to right wrongs and help us become better people.
Is important.
Just my little slice
It
of
matters. It matters. It matters.
it,
It really matters. And sometimes we underestimate the potential that we have with the little things that we do. And
or, or or one thing.
yes.
I would call on everybody listening. Uh, just do one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Pick it. Pick whatever it is. Do one act of kindness. One
Yeah.
act of being a good human being, a good neighbor, a good son, a good daughter, a good father, a good mother. One a good neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do one thing,
Just one.
and you'll feel great.
Exactly. It feels really good.
Doing good is very is it makes the person makes the do gooder very feel very good about himself.
Mm. Yeah, sure. It's exactly as you put it. So we are very thankful for sharing those lessons with us, sharing what you're doing and what you continue to encourage other people to do. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate you taking your time to be with us and sharing with us. And
Not a problem. It was my pleasure.
yes, and just as always, maybe you've said it, but maybe we would like to hear some last words before we leave the show. Words that you like us to remember. You said we do one thing, but I believe there is something more to it.
Well, I don't know. I'm enjoying myself. One thing I would suggest to people my age, I'm going to be 70 next month.
Okay.
Uh, if you decide to retire,
Yeah.
I decided to basically start over again. I start a new career, and I'm having the time of my life. I'm not necessarily making money doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm spending more than I'm making, but I'm really enjoying bringing these social justice messages to readers all over the world. I never thought of myself as an author, somebody who could write 8 novels, a children's book,
Mm-hmm.
a Holocaust novella, which is free on my website, by the way.
Okay.
You can go to markmbello.com and leave an email, and you can download a copy of the novella on the website.
Mm-hmm.
That's called Lador Vador, which is Hebrew for from generation to generation, and it's
Good.
about an escape from Auschwitz during the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Zachary Blake's maternal grandfather, who was an Auschwitz survivor and escapee. Um, I also wrote a Jewish cookbook
Mm-hmm.
that is available both on Amazon and on my website. So I'm kind of all over the place with these um, books from my heritage, if you will. My parents taught me tolerance and love, and we're all in this together. And those are the messages I try to put in my work.
Mm. Beautiful. And we are very happy for you.
MarkMBello.com.
markmbello.com. He's retired, but he's not expired yet. Don't think that. He's still.
You haven't heard the last of me.
You haven't heard the rest of Mark. So stay tuned. Follow him on his website and all his social platforms. And that's Mark M. Bello. I'll put the link on our show notes. So go and follow him. And I wish you all the best as you follow, as you live, as you continue to encourage others. So thank you very much, Mark. We are honored. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
and to those of you who watched us live, those of you who are going to listen to these from the recorded version, thank you also very much. And remember, be good and do one thing. And once you've done one thing, don't stop there. Do the next.
One thing.
Yeah, one thing. So thank you. That's I'm your host, Anthony Morore, and I'm honored to be your presenter these days. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.
Bye,
Bye.
folks.